1, 3, 2, 1, go.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Nombulelo Ngwenya, and welcome to Patriotic Spaces. Tonight, here on studio, I am joined by two gentlemen who will be helping me unpack on Operation Dudula. I'm joined by Den Khadebe and Isaac Lisole. Not to forget to mention my co-host Nkunzi. Is going to be engaging on the conversation. Nkunzi, may you please kindly introduce yourself?
Thank you, host, and welcome to the Patriotic Space, the first in the Patriotic Space. We're coming to you live on this live feed, on this live broadcast. Greetings to all the patriots in the name of patriotism. We are joined by Operation Dudula today, and this is just a continuation from the previous conversation that we've had, and for us just to unpack in some of the important points that we might have missed from the previous space, just the continuation and the build-up to what the organization is trying to achieve. Thank you, host. Back to you.
Thank you so much. I'm going to come back to Babu Den Khadebe. Bab Den, can you please tell me who you are and what is your role in the movement?
This is, you're talking to Den Khadebe, the National Deputy Chairperson of Operation Dudula, and who's been there from its inception till today, who happens to understand where we come from and where we are going.
Okay, can you tell me more, or is that it?
I'll wait for you to understand what you want to know exactly.
Okay, cool. Over to you, Isaac. Can you please tell us who you are and what is your role in the movement?
Well, yeah, thank you very much, and thank you to the followers and viewers out there. It's a great day. So I'm Isaac Lisole, and I'm the technical advisor to the NEC of Operation Dudula, and I have been part of the team that analyzed the brand. I've been part of the team that worked on the reputational value of Operation Dudula out there. So I've been quite involved. I've not been there like Braden from inception, but I was brought in with the rest of others when the organization was already in motion.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much for introducing yourself. So we are going to be talking about the organization itself so that we can make people understand what it is about. So I just want to know, because I also have no idea when the movement has started. Can you please take me through when you guys started and what was happening in your guys' mind when the organization started?
I'll take that one. What is happening is realizing that military veterans were sidelined,
Yes.
not getting their benefits from the seat of Joburg. That's how it initially started. We then had discussions amongst ourselves as military veterans.
Yes.
We decided that no, let's from Operation Dudula, the word Dudula meaning that we are gonna Dudula business opportunities for ourselves as military veterans.
Okay.
But later on, we had to sit down and ask ourselves that, by the way, us being military veterans, what made us military veterans?
Yes.
It was because of our participation in the struggle to liberate South Africa.
Yes.
So whom were we liberating at that time? We were liberating South Africans.
Okay.
So looking back, okay, we're gonna go there and fight for our rights, for our benefits and whatsoever. But these are the people that we've been fighting for, the South Africans. That is how we got involved into the struggle. So how do we then leave them behind?
Yes.
We couldn't leave them behind. We thought, no, let's take South Africans along, because the issues and the matters that have been affecting us, we realize that they are affecting everybody in the country, every South African, and these are the same people that we fought for.
Yes.
So this is not what we fought for our people to suffer like that, and for the foreigners to benefit the way that they were benefiting occupying the township economy
Yes.
through the means of spaza shops, to put it simply like that, tech shops, corner shops, whatever term that you may use. And South Africans were being pushed out and sidelined from that, and which falls under the armpits of the township economy.
Yes.
And there were no townshippers. I'm gonna use a word that I've never heard before.
Yes.
There were no townshippers who were
Yes.
benefiting from that. So we said no, but we didn't fight for what is happening now. Let's bring our people along. So the build-ups meeting, consultative meetings with our communities to understand their frustrations, what is affecting them.
Yes.
We then decided now, let's take this to the mayor's office after the build-up meetings,
Yes.
which gave us an understanding of our community's frustrations, which does not exclude the criminal elements that went with poverty and starvation, that pushed our children into criminal activity,
Yes.
which does not exclude the drug sale element that trapped our children.
Yes.
So we wanted to tackle all these issues: unemployment, drug infestation, and all that. Let's take this to the mayor.
Yes.
But now taking it to the mayor, it meant that we had to tackle the regional issues. Regional issues which included the hijacked buildings in town. More interestingly, city-owned, provincial government-owned, national government-owned buildings that have been hijacked. And these people renting out these buildings to our same people.
Sure.
Whereas we've got our people who are trapped in Kliptown, in the water banks, in the river banks. We've got our people trapped in Alexander along Joskei River.
Yeah.
Now, we said, no, we cannot tolerate this. Why don't you, because we've got a backlog of housing in Johannesburg or in Gauteng at large.
Yes.
Why don't you reclaim these buildings and, convert them into family units so that you can reallocate them as RDP units to families who are trapped in the shacks, rather than having a foreigner who arrived in South Africa, Onkwankwayi for that matter, his surname.
Yes.
He arrived in South Africa in 2017. He owns a 15-story building that is renting out. He arrived in 2017.
Yes.
You've got a South African who applied for RDP back in 1996, who doesn't have an RDP house.
But the
But the
outsider
foreigners,
has already.
they've got a 15-story building that they own.
My God.
That is originally owned by the city of Joburg or the provincial or whoever, the Department of Infrastructure and Development, the governments, whether it's Transnet,
Yes.
that is our property.
Yes.
Where you can name all these departments. Why don't you take these buildings and convert them into family units
Yes.
so that you can allocate these as RDP units to remove our people from the riverbanks,
Yes.
from the frustration that they are going through. You've got places called Kokotela, Loli, Lakeview.
Yes.
You can name them all. Why should our people go through that frustration
Yes.
where we've got Agonke, who arrived in South Africa in 2017. He owns a building that it's originally ours by the means of being a government property. If it's a government property, that is our property as a South African. So why can't it be allocated as family units to our people? These are some of the things. What are we doing about the township economy that has been occupied by foreigners? That has been taken away from our grannies. If you look at the word spaza shop,
Yes.
if you look at that word spaza shop, it tells you where it comes from. we all know siyazi sama South African
Very
ukuthi
original.
isiphaza into yomntana ukuthi acabanga ukuthi unana idami yamampela
Eish.
kanti unana the fake dummy. That is where this spaza comes from.
Yes.
Now all these spaza shops, the word itself, it tells you it originated from our grannies. But how many grannies still owns that in South Africa? All occupied by foreigners. So we went to the mayor's office with all these demands, housing our people,
Yes.
saying the city must be able to generate its own electricity with the purpose of job creation. It was limited to Joburg by then. But the which we will share with you,
Yes.
the demands that we had. I may not be able to tell. But other cities felt that issues that are also talking to us.
Yes.
That led to Operation Tutula growing outside Joburg, being demanded left, right, and center. Because the issues that we went, that was on the 17th of May, 2021, when we went to the, may his soul rest in peace, Jeff Makubo, when we went to his office with these demands. Felt that these issues are talking to all of us. Hence the demand of the Operation Tutula. That please, we are also suffering from the same challenges. We are also suffering from the same challenges. But let's also conscientize South Africans that these hijacked buildings, they are also being used as drug dens houses.
Wow.
Where they are being cooked, where our sisters and children are being used as prostitutes. Sorry, not prosecutors.
Prostitutes.
Yeah, prostitutes.
Yes.
Angithi, this is not our language. we borrowed it. So we are merely using English in this case, or trying.
Yes.
Because Asia's not as long.
Just to communicate.
South Africa is diverse.
Yes.
11 languages. So we need to understand that it's not everybody who will understand one language. So we are trying to put in English here and there
Okay.
to try and accommodate the diversity
Of course,
of
yes.
the country, which is something that we appreciate, that within all that diversity, South Africans still manage to live side by side. Hence, we are taking everybody along with us. So there was a demand that these issues are not only limited
Yes.
to Johannesburg. This is what the country suffers from. It's a disease, it's like a cancer
Yeah.
that has spread through the country, throughout the country. Hence, you see the growth of Operation Tutula.
Yes.
And everything that we do, it is as a result of the first memorandum that we have sent it to the late Mayor Jeff Makubo, that had all these items included in it.
Yeah.
But the only difference that now we were forced to spread it nationally, because the country, we discovered later on or realized that the country is actually suffering from, it's a challenge, it was spreading, foreign invasion, hijacking of the country. I don't know, but that was merely an introduction of how Operation Tutula started. That is started back in around November, I may not remember specific dates, 2020, and then around January 2021, there was a relaunch of Operation Tutula.
Yes.
That resulted on the March of the 17th May 2021 to the mayor's office. Beyond that, community meetings that resulted on the march that we had on 16 June
Yes.
in Diepkloof, targeting drug lords' houses, dealing with criminal elements around the townships and whatever. However, we have to acknowledge that there were criminal elements who attempted to hijack the program as from the 14th of June, looting elements, this and that we had to deal with and put a stop to it. Because we are not criminals, we are not about looting.
Yes.
We are all about reclaiming the township economy back to its rightful owners, which are South Africans. But if there's anything that I have left out, I'll be very much happy
Okay.
to clarify it
Yes.
based on your questions.
Yes. So I am so happy that you were able to unpack on what Operation Dudula is all about, because there are people out there that don't even know what you guys are about. Bayazwela ngokuthi there is Operation Dudula, you guys are making noise that there is this movement, but like people like me, I just needed to have an understanding for what is this movement about. So I'm gonna add on to what you just said, like everything as a whole. Uguti, is this thing of you guys being a vigilante group or xenophobic? Are you guys xenophobic or a vigilante group? Can I please direct that to you, Bab Isaac?
Thank you for that question. I think it's an important question.
Yes.
Operation Dudula is not a vigilante group.
Mm-hmm.
Operation Dudula is not xenophobic at all.
Mm-hmm.
It calls for the implementation and acknowledgement of the immigration laws.
Yes.
There's no country in the world
Mm-hmm.
where you can just walk in, out with no controls.
Yes.
And calling for the enforcement of such regulations should not be declared or be perceived as xenophobic or vigilante at all.
Yeah.
I think one must add to say that the
Lungtin,
Yeah.
so that we formally release him from Operation Tutula to avoid the confusion, because Operation Tutula has the leadership that I just mentioned. We've got the likes of Isaac Lisole with his team, who are technically advising Operation Tutula, which is surrounded by professions. That is a legal team, analysts, and whatsoever. He's got
Yes.
various professions behind him who are advising Operation Tutula.
Yes.
And they've been there for a while, for the past 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we then decided collectively that no, let's release Nhlanhla Lux to focus on Soweto Parliament as it demanded his attention.
Oh, so he was released.
He was released from any activity of Operation Tutula with an agreement, hence we called a media briefing to address, I'm leaving anything out, my technical advisor here will come in and clarify anything that I've left out. So Nhlanhla Lux has never been a leader of Operation Tutula. He was an ordinary participant as an alliance member who were aligned with Operation Tutula's activities and values and sentiments and whatever that ungayibiza.
Yes.
Angithi. But if khona into engishile, my technical advisor will come in and
So
add
now,
whatever that I might have left.
okay, so now to clear the confusion, because people are also confused, people are asking themselves, Uguti, what happened to Nhlanhla Lux? The comments that he's making on the social media pages. What about the comments that he's making? Why is he making such drastic comments that you guys also are having your own side of the story? I feel like everyone has,
Yeah.
there's three sides of the story, right?
You're spot on. I think
Yes.
it's important to just put the following on record.
Yes.
That Nhlanhla Lux is the leader of Soweto Parliament.
Yes.
He is not the leader of Operation Tutula, and that's the record. That must be on record.
Sure, that's an ouch.
Now, we must all take the blame because we cannot run away from the fact that he was the face and he was speaking a lot more on media spaces.
Okay.
No, now Operation Tutula treats all its alliance partners as equals,
Okay.
and then a potential was identified in Nhlanhla Lux. He's outspoken and he's good in handling some of these issues, and the leadership allowed him, and the leadership must take that responsibility as well.
Yes.
That they allowed him to go out there. He was out there speaking on behalf of Operation Tutula, and in the process, then Nhlanhla Lux and Operation Tutula became similars.
Okay.
So, but what people didn't know, that behind the scenes, there's a structure that holds this thing together.
Oh yes.
And Nhlanhla Lux just became to be the person who speaks on behalf of Operation Tutula at that time. But the truth is, Operation Tutula has its own founders. It has its own structure
Wow.
that actually even guided Nhlanhla Lux throughout that process when he was out there. So for the record today, Nhlanhla Lux is a leader of Soweto Parliament, and he must be respected and be given space to lead his organization. I am hoping that after today, nobody could be asking again about Nhlanhla Lux, because we don't even have his authority to be talking about him.
I mean.
But yeah, I mean, I take the responsibility as well that for the first time, let's place it on record
Yes.
and get over it.
Wow. I hope he got that clear, because I got it clear. Nkunzi, what about you?
It's all clear, host, and I think we've touched on, and it's important just to unpack and understand behind the organization who is actually leading this movement.
Yes, of
But I
course.
just want to focus, because Commander Dan touched on the growth of the movement outside of Gauteng, because I know initially might be a project that started in Soweto and maybe focusing and zooming into issues around Gauteng. Maybe in terms of that and the launching of various branches across the country, was it intentional or was it because of the demand outbreak? Maybe just to unpack a little bit around that.
It has never been intentional, but at the same time, we could not ignore that it is tackling resonates with all South Africans in the country. Mawuthuya eNewcastle, bathi le nkinga enikhuluma ngayo eNewcastle, sikhala ngayo nathi la in Richards Bay. Mawuthuya eRichards Bay, Port Elizabeth, which is your Nelson Mandela Bay today. The same problem enikhuluma ngayo eRichards Bay, ile sikhala ngayo la eGqeberha. So siyayicela i-operation Dudula ukuthi ibe khona. We saw recently these foreigners fighting with the taxi guys, even bephakamisa ne-flag yabo. Within the Republic of South Africa, they've got the audacity, they had the audacity yokuthi baphakamise i-flag yabo within a republic. So Operation Dudula is being demanded because the issues that we are tackling, they are talking to almost every South African, except those who are benefiting through the presence of these foreigners in the country, and we will recognize that.
Okay, that is so clear. So I just wanted to talk about the movement. You guys are moving from civic to parliament, right? My question is, have you guys been funded?
Yes. Let me take that.
Okay.
Yes, we do.
Yes.
Being funded by our members.
Nice. Okay.
When we are saying we are going to Newcastle,
Yes.
our members contribute the money for a bus, money for food. We go to Newcastle. Now that shows the frustration and the dedication that our members has. They don't rely on free buses and free food and free what. So this is not a rented crowd that we are talking about.
Yes.
We are talking about South Africans who are frustrated and who are desperate to show and demonstrate their frustration to the country and the world.
Yeah.
So the funding that we are relying on, it is strictly from our members. They pay for the bus, they pay for the food from their own pockets. Yes, we are being funded. It doesn't come from an individual or from a particular company who will then in return direct us on what to do. So yes, when I'm saying we are being funded, yes, we are funded, but by the members who are contributing for each and every activity that we are undertaking as Operation Dudula.
Like, I mean, it's the yes for me, you know, the confidence in that.
Maybe before you go there, let me just say that we're also mindful
Yes.
that the responsibility we have taken requires a little more than paying for a bus.
Oh.
Because going to Parliament would require a lot more money,
Mm-hmm.
which then says that is there a need for more funding?
Yes.
And the answer to that question is yes, there is. And maybe I should use this very platform to say that Operation Dudula has now started a project of, we call it the Road to Parliament. And Road to Parliament requires air tickets, it requires bus tickets, it train tickets and all of that. But it also requires a lot of branding. So for those who are like-minded and people who believe that there must be enforcement of laws in this country, we're calling on them to open their pockets and their hearts to actually support this initiative, because this initiative, if it becomes successful or when it becomes successful, one thing that would actually happen is to ensure that all the laws, because we have a lot of very beautiful policies and laws, but what is going to happen this time around is just to make sure that all of those existing policies are implemented to the T, and that's the focus.
Yeah, so the road to Parliament. Have you guys been to Parliament? Have you interacted with people who have already been there?
Maybe before you take that question,
Okay.
let's come to maybe
That opens after hours in Krugersdorp. Your Home Affairs that was opened in an internet cafe somewhere in Hillbrow, which is not the only one. A number of them. For the sake of time, let's limit to this, what was on the mainstream media. We expose all these things. Nothing has happened. And somebody tells us that you've got people who are documented. Are you talking about the one in Krugersdorp after 4 o'clock? Or you are talking about the one in Hillbrow? Okay, let that be bygones. We met with the Minister of Labour. Can you dispatch your inspectors to these companies? After exposing a number of companies that had hired illegal immigrants for the purpose of obviously maximizing their profits by taking advantage of the illegality of the country. We know what goes with that at the end of the day.
Yes.
Nothing happened. We have dropped memorandums. Nothing happened. We've been to union buildings about twice or thrice. Nothing happened. No response at all. So there's no appetite of dealing with these issues that has been demonstrated by the current administration. So we felt that without us being equals with them and debate these issues on an equal par as peers and making sure that these laws are being enforced and adhered to, we are not going anywhere. We'll keep on drawing these memorandums. Oh, they said that they are coming on the 7th. We'll wait for them and receive their memorandum after they left. No, it has been illegal and nothing happens. No, Sonbon after 14 days. It happened at housing. When we went to housing, that was on the 10th of March,
Yeah.
2023 to be precise. We are still waiting for them until today. We gave them 7 or 10 special cases that we requested them to attend to them urgently. People who were in wheelchairs, who were homeless. Nothing has happened. Regarding those people till today. Instead, what we are getting from the seat of Joburg, I don't know whether to call it a ballroom dance or what. Leama mayor. One mayor, one mayor this week, one mayor that week, one mayor, and then you don't have any accountability.
yeah.
So we said, you know what? These people, they are not showing any interest in addressing these issues of national importance. Rather, we go in there. This is not our feeling as a NEC. This was a decision of Operation Dudula members who gave this directive on the 7th of May. That let's go in there and make sure that we enforce these laws. We make sure that they are enforced, they are adhered to. So, our road to Parliament was born out of a frustration after handing over memorandums exposing the corruption, exposing 1, 2, 3, ama home affairs avula after 6 and all that, exposing companies that are employing these people illegally, exposing the drug dealers, all the wrongdoings, exposing members of SANDAF who were collecting money at the border instead of stopping these people. A lot has been exposed, but we didn't really see any appetite. So members of Operation Tudula felt that rather let's do it ourselves. We cannot rely on these people anymore. We've been knocking on these doors for the past 3 years. We cannot keep on jumping up and down and dancing on the streets for the next 5 years.
Yes.
So that's what resulted in the decision that gave birth to the road to Parliament. If I left anything out, obviously I've got
so I'm your additional person. I'm just adding. Yeah, but I think it's an important thing. I think it's just to say that it became very clear that you can no longer depend on people that you did not employ.
True.
You can no longer depend on the people that you did not contract to deliver your message into Parliament.
Of course.
So that dependency became a weakness of the organization to say that, okay, instead of depending on somebody, we've proven now, there's track record that
Yes.
delivering memorandums you can do, but as to whether it happens after delivering, it's a different ball game. So I think DC has captured it well to say that in simple terms, we could no longer depend on anybody else other than Operation Dudula or its delegates into the same space.
Yes.
But what we need is to be in the same couch with those who make the laws and those who make decisions when and how those laws should be implemented. Because if you're not closer to them, they do as they please, and we've
Yes,
seen it now.
yes.
Just to add something, that is if we cannot make them ourselves, we still have to rely on them because we are aiming high.
Yes, that was very clear. Mukunzi, did they answer that question, the question that I asked? Of
Thank you.
did you do okay? The conference resolution, the conference that happened on the 7th of May 2023. Can you please slightly unpack on that? Just kindly give us an idea of what you guys were on about.
Look, if DC allows me, the conference was a resolution of the NEC
Yes.
after a brand reputation analysis was, and it's the findings of such an analysis were presented to the NEC, and the NEC then decided that with these findings we might want to go and test the waters and take these findings to the members, but not only limited to the members, to those who support you and those that are hiding behind, but just call everybody. So we called members, supporters, and sympathizers. So everybody was in the room.
Yes.
But that's a sign of confidence to
Yes.
say that half the time people will only call their own members to make decisions. But Operation Dudula called broad spectrum
Yes.
and asked one question. Now that we are in this position where the brand is so sick, where the brand is so stigmatized and labeled, you are now a vigilante group, you are xenophobic, you called all types of names. Are the things that you stand for still valid and reasonable today? That was the question that was sent to conference. And whether conference would say, what do we do with these things? Because if these demands and concerns are still intact and valid, how do you want to transmit this or this information into position of power?
Yeah.
And I think this question was really taken to conference for conference to deliberate on, and conference then decided that based on the circumstances and the findings,
Yes.
we spoke about the findings of the the analysis itself in the previous space. But today conference, all I want to speak to really is the fact that conference then made a decision that Operation Dudula must rather and not depend on anybody. And that's how the concept of Road to Parliament started, or that hashtag started.
Yes.
But basically is to say that don't wait for anybody to come and tell you what to do and how to do it.
Of course.
Go and be there. Go and take that message straight to the table where these things are being discussed.
Yeah, just to add something on that, if you allow me.
Yes, of course.
For the past couple of years, that question has been asked: where do we see Operation Tutula going? Is the Operation Tutula corner contest in the near future? Is it gonna shift from being a civic movement to a political party? We've been always answering that by saying South Africans will decide the future of Operation Tutula. And I think that is exactly what happened on the 7th of May. No individual who decided the future of Operation Tutula, but South Africans decided, as we've been saying for the past 2 years, that South Africans will decide the future of Operation Tutula.
Wow. Okay, so where to from here as an organization? How are you guys planning on moving forward?
Okay. Oh, now that you're looking at me, but look, a decision has now been taken that Operation Dudula must officially contest the 2024 general elections.
Yes.
That on its own then, instructed us to do certain things. It means that we must dissolve an NPC, a non-profit company,
Yes.
now register as a political party, so that you can qualify and fall within the requirements of the IEC. So everything now is geared towards preparing the organization, beefing up the National Executive Committee, beefing up the branches and regions of Operation Dudula. There's a lot of things that are going to be announced in the next couple of days and weeks, because Operation Dudula is now officially on its road to Parliament, and that on its own requires that a lot of things be put in place. So where to from here? Busy.
And how far along are you with those plans, looking at now the transition from a civic movement to a political party? Because I would assume there's a lot of factors that come into play, looking at the founding sort of origins of the movement itself, and now that transition, because it was founded based on the issue of illegal immigrants. But when you're now transitioning to a political party, there's additional sort of items that you would need to address, because as I always say, South African problems in South Africa are not only limited to immigration. There's other issues that are facing South Africa on a daily basis. Talk about load shedding, talk about all other sort of issues. So in that transition phase, because I would assume that there will be a point in time where you need to adopt these into what is maybe a manifesto of some sort and all of that. But I just want to know the thinking behind now this transition. How do these factor into the whole collective of Operation?
Brendan, you want to take a bite on it?
Let me just introduce it.
Yeah.
Obviously, those are the factors that we are aware of. And remember, the challenges that are facing the country, it's not only illegal immigrants. There's been a lot of mismanagement of the country that will need to redress those factors. But we are not going to shy away from the fact that the foreign invasion contributed into most factors where the country found itself choking.
Yes.
You are talking about your health department is choking. You are talking about your education department is choking. If we have to talk about 15 million plus foreigners in the country who are eating to the greed of the electricity that is not enough for South Africans, I believe that that 15 million, if they can excuse us, we might have a little bit enough, maybe electricity to
Breathing
sustain
space.
us as
Yes.
South Africans.
Yes.
So there is an element of foreign invasion that is contributing into a number of factors that are affecting the country, over and above the mismanagement of the country. You know, but not limited to that. We've got ideas that would want to implement or will want to see them implemented in the country when it comes to the management of the country, which will then be unpacked in our manifesto that we are working on. But let's be honest with South Africans and say, we do not want to rush the conclusion of the manifesto in terms of packaging it. Because as we said in the last media briefing, that we would love to see a situation where South Africans can have a window to have a say in the Operation Tutula. As we are saying, it's community based. So we would love to have a window where South Africans can have a say in the issues that needs to be tackled by Operation Tutula, and then those issues obviously will form part of the manifesto of the issues that the South Africans would love to see those issues being addressed by Operation Tutula in future, in redressing the mismanagement of the country. But I'm not sure if I left anything.
No. Thanks, Braden. I think critical to the question is how far are we? By next week, Operation Dudula would have registered with the IEC. That's number one.
Yeah.
Number two, we mindful that we can't limit Operation Dudula to issues of immigration only. We're planning to have a policy conference, but people are already lobbying a number of policy items.
Yes.
There are issues around land, there are issues around the economy, there are issues. Operation Dudula will speak to all of those things. But we're also mindful that in some of these things we might not necessarily bring new wisdom. There's already wisdom that's already out there. You
Yes.
might just want to tap into what is already out there. So we don't want to pretend like we're going to bring something completely new, because the truth is that what's eating South Africans in their communities and in their homes are similar issues. And the problem is that these things have not been addressed. They've been raised for years and years and years.
Yes.
All you need now is an organization that would just attend to those things
Yes.
on time and show political willingness to address issues that are concerning South Africans. And I think if there's anything that Operation Dudula will bring to the space,
Yes.
is speed and political willingness to attend to the issues that South Africans have raised over the years. Every single year, people go out to IDPs, government goes out to Indaba or Imbizo, or there's a whole lot of these things.
Yes.
But every time you go to Imbizo, the IDP forum meeting, or all of that, South Africans are raising the same issues. It is disheartening that government still goes back and hope to find something new. There's nothing new. It's unemployment, it's poverty, inequality. Those things still persist.
Wow.
And we need to attend to those things. And Operation Dudula will attend to those things, or at least persuade those that are in power as well to implement these things if Operation Dudula will not be in power itself. But into Parliament, it's a dead case. It's a given case. Operation Dudula will be on the same table with the rest of the other politicians.
Okay, so lastly from me is, how do you guys react to the negative comments? In closing.
We welcome them.
Okay.
We welcome them. But let's put it out clearly. We are not sitting in front of South Africans and saying we know it all, we've got it all perfect. Any criticism, as long as it comes from a South African, we welcome it. Because those are the criticisms that might help us to see where we are missing it or what issues we are leaving out.
Yes.
But any criticism that comes from a person who's benefiting from the status quo,
Yes.
feel free, carry on. We will not be deterred.
Okay.
We will not be intimidated. We are not going to stop. Instead, we will intensify.
Thank you so much, gentlemen, for having you here on studio. You helped us on unpacking on what Operation Dudula is, and I'm hoping that everybody at home has a clear picture of what Operation Dudula is about. Over to you, Kunzi. Anything in closing?
Yeah, I think maybe let's give the guests the last maybe parting shots.
Okay.
And we would have loved to also engage with our audience, but I think we're just cognizant of time, and we will just wrap it up.
Yes.
Maybe after just the final closing comments from our guests, and then we can just close up our space today.
Look, I think from me, Operation Dudula will be contesting elections next year, national general elections. But Operation Dudula will also contest just after registering as a political party any other by-elections that are upcoming now after registering. Operation Dudula is going to contest those elections, and we are saying to communities, prepare yourself for a change. Prepare yourself. That which you've been crying for all this time, a window of opportunity has just been opened. And this is where South Africans and ordinary people can take the power, this political power that you have of voting and choosing
Yes.
who directs and saves this country, is now back to your hands. And I think one has to make that conscious decision. What do you do with your individual vote? Because staying at home and not participating is not a solution. In fact, is the reason why we are where we are.
Yes.
And I think from me is to urge all South Africans to only do one thing this time around. Take their time. Just take that day when there are by-elections or there are any time when there's voting, please make sure that you invest that wisely, because we can solve all of these problems even before we get to the national general elections. Thank you very much.
Yeah, well said. But what I would love to stress is that South Africans stand up. Let's save the country. The country is going towards the cliff. We usually say we are not going to take this country forward to the cliff. Let's all hold hands and take South Africa back to its former glory by standing up and use the same vote that he has mentioned. We are taking collectively, South Africans, taking South Africa back to its former glory. That's all I can say.
Yep, so it is said that make your voice heard, make that vote count. From me, it's going to be good night. From Nkunzi.
Thank you, host, and a very informative session with the leadership of Operation Tudula. We thank you for joining us on the Patriotic Space, and we hope that the South Africans have heard your message, and we will definitely be keeping an eye out with the developments around the movement itself. And yeah, it's been great hosting the Patriotic Space, and we'll catch you again on the next Patriotic Space. Have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you.